When shopping around for a new TV, some people might get overwhelmed with the options, the brand names and the buzzwords, and some of them actually end up making the wrong decision and sometimes wasting money due to not fully understanding the differences between the types of display tech available to them. So to help you better understand the specific differences between Mini-LED TVs and OLED TVs, I'm comparing the new TCL C855K to the LG C4 OLED. Both of these are 65-inch models. So let's start with the differences when it comes to brightness and contrast. So due to the nature of organic light emitting diodes in the LG C4, each individual pixel can be controlled and even switched off to create pure black. That is one of the significant upsides to OLED TVs. Now on the flip side of that, Mini-LED TV panels like the one used in the TCL C855K have tons of zones, so they can control areas of the screen, but the control isn't quite as granular as with OLED tech. However, it's gotten very good now, and thanks to these smaller LED clusters, significantly more zones than ever before on LED TVs can be controlled and switched off. And this massively increases the contrast and reduces light blooms that we used to see on more classic style LED TVs. Now, it definitely isn't quite the same as OLED, but it is pretty damn close these days. And there are some really big advantages to Mini-LED TVs, which we'll come back to, but one of them right now is definitely in regards to brightness. The LG C4 OLED's peak brightness is just over 1000 nits, so around 1100, compared to 3500 on the TCL. So generally speaking, Mini-LED TVs can get brighter than OLEDs. So aside from the brightness and contrast, something that's really vital to making the right purchase decision is color accuracy and overall picture performance. So it is easy to think that the more expensive options would have the best color calibration by default, but that isn't always the case. And I'm not going to get too scientific with this comparison here, but I will give you a few things to look for when you're shopping around. One is the DCI P3 color gamut. This relates to how many colors can actually be shown on the TV. The LG C4 OLED measures in at around 98 to 99% of the DCI P3 color gamut. On the TCL C855K, which is a Mini-LED TV, is actually 95%. Also, it's worth comparing the viewing angles when you're shopping around. If you know the TV is not going to be front and center and that there might be people sitting off to the side, this is important. And this was a problem with older LED TVs, but now with these newer QD Mini-LED TVs, the viewing angles are very good. Also, HDR Performance and certified HDR ratings are something worth looking for. This is the range between peak brightness and pure darkness. And the TCL C855K has an official HDR 10 Plus rating with HDR 10 Plus adaptive support. And of course, the LG C4 OLED is no slouch in this area either. It's also HDR 10 rated, and both do support Dolby Vision. And this is something that you can stream quite easily from all of the popular streaming services like Netflix, Disney, and Amazon. All right, so let's dive a bit more into the differences in backlighting tech. So ultimately, the two different panel techs affect the picture, and both sides have their ups and downs. For example, due to the organic nature of the OLED tech used in the LG C4 panels, the lifespan of the panel typically does not last as long as a Mini-LED TV display. Also, screen burn-in is a real possibility for OLEDs. For example, if there's a watermark on the display and it's in a fixed position for an excessive amount of time, it could become a permanent fixture. And of course, LG are aware of this, especially since they are the #1 when it comes to OLED TVs. So safety measures are in place, but it is worth noting that this isn't an issue that you would need to worry about with the TCL C855K. Now, this next bit is important if you're a gamer, and even if you're not, if anyone using the TV wants to do some gaming on it, they'll be glad that you looked into this. So it is the refresh rate on the TV. This is how quickly the display can refresh the image per second. Most games consoles at the moment max out at around 120 Hz. Both the LG C4 and the TCL C855K support this, and you will be happy to know both actually support up to 144 Hz for gaming. Now, in reality, 144 Hz will only come into play if you're hooking up a gaming PC, for example. And just quickly, while we're on the topic of gaming, both the TVs have their own game launching software where you can adjust specific picture settings in regards to gaming. and both of them are very, very good. And if gaming is something that's going to be important to your purchase decision, aside from just looking at the refresh rate supported, it'll be worth looking out for a few of these things. For example, the input lag. This relates to the response time between your gaming hardware and the display itself. This does vary depending on the input signal, but the LG C4 for gaming is actually very, very good, with an input response time of 4.6 milliseconds. And the TCL C855K is also surprisingly good. It comes in at 5.6 milliseconds. Also, variable refresh rate support and automatic low latency modes can be important for more serious gamers. So it's also worth looking out for those. Both of these TVs do support VRR and ALLM. Also, FreeSync and G-Sync are a plus for PC gamers, and both of these TVs once again support both of those. So it's a really close contest here. However, for a lot of people shopping around for a TV, the price might be the first and foremost factor to consider. And when you're comparing these two very formidable 4K TVs, there's quite a big difference. And this is because OLED tech is quite costly to produce. OLED TVs tend to have a higher price tag because of that. Of course, prices can change due to sales and things like that. But at the time of this video, the 65-inch C4 comes in at £1,699 here in the UK. Now the TCL, in comparison, probably due to the fact that QD Mini-LED TVs are easier to produce than OLED, and that TCL are not as well known here in the UK at this point in time, despite being the world's #2 TV brand. The cost of the TCL C855K is significantly cheaper at £1,299. That's a £400 difference. So just to give you my opinion and some of the pros and cons between these two particular TVs, the LG is thinner due to the OLED panel, which is nice, but it does mean there's not as much room for built-in speakers. So the built-in sound isn't gonna quite match the Onkyo Dolby Atmos speakers with the sub that's built into the TCL. Also, the black levels you get from that OLED tech are perfect, but the Mini-LED TV tech used on the TCL is actually very close to it now. But do keep in mind the potential shorter lifespan on OLED TVs in comparison to Mini-LEDs. Now, in regards to software, I do like the LG software, and I particularly like the pointer remote that it comes with. You do get all of the apps there, however, there does seem to be quite a bit of advertising, so that can be quite distracting. I actually really prefer the clean and simplified Google TV software you get on the TCL. It just feels a little bit easier to use. Also, you do get 2 remotes with the TCL, which could reduce the issue of losing your remote down the side of the sofa due to having a backup. The picture performance is very close, and I don't think you'll be disappointed with either of these two TVs. There are differences in the color science, but of course you could jump into the settings and calibrate it yourself if you really wanted to. I do feel like the TCL leans into the warmer colors straight out of the box, and you have cooler tones on the LG, although there is filmmaker mode on there, which is calibrated more for movies and things like that. And one of the color schemes I really like on the TCL is the IMAX mode. So it is IMAX certified. So if you are watching movie content, that's going to be one of the best color profiles there. And it is IMAX approved, so that's good. So to put it simply, the LG has the edge when it comes to black levels, but the TCL has the advantage when it comes to brightness and is significantly cheaper. So overall, it is kind of tricky to say which one of these would be better for you, but I'm hoping you come to your own conclusions based on the areas that we looked into in this video. So just to summarize the pros and cons on each of these two TVs very quickly, the LG C4 OLED has infinite black levels and a slightly wider color gamut, but suffers a little bit in regards to brightness and the panel lifespan in comparison. It is a lot slimmer in profile compared to the TCL, which is nice, but of course this does make the display more fragile, and due to the thinness, it doesn't quite have as much room for larger speakers like the TCL. With that said, it's a fantastic TV, but that higher price tag may not be so fantastic if you're concerned about your budget. Now on the flip side, the TCL C855K has impressive black levels which are very close to OLED, but a significant advantage is the brightness of the display, its more robust frame, and the built-in Dolby Atmos speakers. Also, the Google software makes using the TV a tiny bit more easier than the LG, and the color calibration out of the box on the TCL is fantastic. And a huge selling point for the TCL C855K is its value for money. If you shop around, it will be hard to find a QD Mini-LED TV that can compete with this at this price point. I have also compared the TCL C855K to the Samsung equivalent. That thumbnail will be on screen at the end of this one. And if you guys want a closer look at the remotes and the ports on these two TVs so you know what you'd be getting if you do decide to buy one, check out the written version of this video on whatgear.net. There'll be a bunch of pictures there. And if you want the most up-to-date prices on these two TVs, there will be affiliate links below. And I appreciate you guys for watching this video. If you have any questions about either one of these two TVs or the difference between OLED and Mini-LED, let me know in the comments below. And if you just subscribed, you are now one of the finest subscribers known to man, and I will see you in the next one. Don't be late.